And go to live stream. Hi, everybody. I'm just getting everything kind of going here. So just hold.
You shouldn't miss any of these. You can find them on the podcast or the YouTube channel, in addition to other content that we put up. So feel free to follow us there, subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We love interacting with you guys here in person for sure. But if you are watching it later and you have questions, we'd love to interact with you on either of those platforms.
Sorry, something popped up and was talking to me. I'm a little new at this. Hi, I'm Chelsea. I'm one of the coaches. Megan and Sherry are both busy today. Megan might hop on later. I don't know. She's currently driving. So, that I don't know why it's not okay. So she might be on later. I don't know. We wanted her to be safe and also not lose the connection sort of thing. But today you have me. So I'm Chelsea. I'm one of the coaches. And today we're going to talk about the legal setup without stress to start your bookkeeping business. If you have any comment or any questions or anything, I do have the chat up. So just put it over in the chat. And I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, we'll have Q&A at the end, of course. I'll give everyone a minute or two to get connected here. Okay. Yep, we're talking about legal setup without stress today. So let's talk about the part no one wants to talk about, but everyone needs, which is the legal setup. Words like LLC or tax ID make your stomach turn. Then don't worry, you're not behind and you're not the only one. Today I'm going to speak in plain English so that everyone understands, because I know it can be scary. Just making sure. Okay. There's a lot of noise out there, but here's what you actually need to get your business legally set up and ready to serve your clients. So the essentials that you need is, one, you need to know your business structure if you're LLC or sole prop. Two, get an EIN, which is free and pretty fast to do through the IRS. Once you get that EIN, you want to open a business bank account. What bank you use is completely up to you, but you want to make sure it's a business bank account. Have a contract for your clients to sign. Be ready for that. And 5, optional, but is very smart, is to get liability insurance. And a little tip, you don't need to hire a lawyer to start. If you just have a few basics and keep it simple sort of thing. So to dig into that each of those a little bit more now. The first thing we're going to dig into a little bit is choosing your business structure. So between like an LLC or a sole prop. So a sole prop is easiest to start with and is the default for businesses. But an LLC is a legal business entity. just to know the little differences between that. But for a sole prop, the pros for it is there's no fees. The taxes are very simple. It's on your personal taxes. But the cons are there is no legal protection. You have no separation between your business and yourself. So if someone comes after you for something because of business, they can come after your personal. So that's a con for being a sole prop. An LLC, your pros are your personal liability is protected. So you have that clear separation between your business and your personal. So if there's some reason someone goes after you for your something personal or something legal, if someone goes after you legally for your business, they can't also go after your personal. Cons for an LLC is that there may require state fees, and each state requires differently. I'm in Missouri, so our fees are greatly different than, say, California's. So each state's a little bit different there. And starting out as a sole prop, if you want to just like test the waters to see if this is something you actually want to do, is perfectly okay. But it's very highly suggested to move to an LLC once you know this is what you want to do, this is what you want to build, so that you can have that personal protection for your personal assets. Does that kind of make sense for everyone? Sorry, I keep looking over this way because your faces are on this screen of mine. So, but my notes are here so that I look like I'm looking at you. Okay, so the next thing is getting your EIN number. Your EIN is your business tax ID number. It's free and you can apply within like 5 minutes online. You just go to irs.gov and just kind of follow the steps is what I did. It doesn't take too long. It's free. And then you'll use that EIN number to get a business bank account. So you have to have the EIN number to get a business bank account. And you want that EIN number to protect your social security number. Keep that private. So that like if someone needs, a good example is if you fill out a W-9 for someone because you're doing work for them, you put your EIN number in instead of social security because it keeps that social security private. Because we all don't want, to be hacked like that. So you also all use your EIN to file your business taxes. So that's why an EIN is important. Everyone good with EINs there? We're going to kind of opening a business bank account is kind of the next little topic here. So mixing personal and business money is one of the fastest ways to confuse yourself and your future accountant. That this is not only a tip for yourself, is not to mix personal and business, but it's one of the biggest tips to also give like clients, make posts on your business pages or posts about your business. It's one of the biggest tips. It's one of the first things people will do is mix money, but it's a big no-no. It's always good to open a separate business account, a checking one at the minimum. A lot of people will have like a checking and a savings, or maybe a couple checking if they're organizing money, a sort of thing, but always keeping that money separate from your personal is very important. And you run all your business income and expenses through those business accounts. And doing this will make reconciling in QuickBooks so much easier. And like I said, this business bank account is not only good for you as a bookkeeper, but businesses in general tip sort of thing. But yeah, that's a tip I give people a lot. is not to mix your business and personal. Okay, is everyone good with that? We're going to kind of shift into contracts next. Good, sounds good. Okay, so contracts, this is engage or other also known as like engagement letters. So even if your mom's friend's dog groomer is going to be your client, you need a contract. Again, also known as, you can call them engagement letters, contracts, engagement letters. Your contract should include at least the following. The services you're going to provide and be pretty detailed on that. The payment terms, communication expectations, if they're all communications are going to go through a certain thing, but have that on there. When the work is going to start, and if there's an end date when it's going to end, or how to cancel. If refund and cancellation policies should be on there. And then legal disclaimers such as like, I'm not your tax preparer, or I believe I have something on there about, I can't remember the exact wording, but about I only can make your reports as well as the documentation, the information that I am given. If I am not given that you have this asset from previous years, I cannot put it on there because I don't know about it, sort of thing. I like to tell people bookkeepers are not magical. We can't know everything. So those are things that you should have at least those things in there. A good tip is to use some sort of template. You could even hire a legal pro to set something up once you're ready to scale. I know I personally have like a template for my engagement letter / my ACH payment agreement. And then I go in there and edit it for each potential person and put their specific things on there. It makes it be able to get those contracts out a lot quicker, sort of thing. Any questions about contracts / engagement letters? No, we're doing good. Awesome. GPT can help with that if you give specifics. Yep. I haven't used ChatGPT a lot, but it probably could help with things like that. As long as you give it specifics, it can make it all legally sounding fancy, sort of. Okay, the next thing is, do you need insurance? You don't need insurance to start. But you probably want to get it once you start taking on a paying client. And what you want to look for is professional liability, aka errors and omissions insurance, general business insurance, data protective insurance, such as like a cloud-based pros sort of thing. And I know at least back when I first got my insurance, I was able to get insurance and backdate it for when like that person signed my first client signed their contract. That might have changed by now, but like I said, you don't necessarily need it when you're just out there marketing, out there trying to get your new client. But like as soon as you get that first paying client, you should get it to cover yourself, sort of thing. But yeah, professional liability, aka errors and omissions, is the big one. Okay. So common mistakes that we've seen a lot, as far as all this legal stuff. is people, you may also want cyber insurance too. Yes. You can ask about that with your insurance agent. That is correct. Common mistakes, like I said, common mistakes that we see a lot is putting all this off until you get more clients. It's always nice to have kind of things in place so you can just kind of keep going. Another one we see is not actually reading your contract before sending it. You need to know what you're having people sign. Again, mixing that business and personal finances is a huge one. Again, seeing it both in like when anyone who starts a new business, whether it's bookkeeping or something else, happens a lot. And also thinking that just because it's the word legal means it's complicated, but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be that sort of, it doesn't have to be complicated if you don't want to. So any questions about all that? We do have you can download our free bookkeeper startup checklist to make sure you've got everything in place. I have, where did I put that link? Nope, not that. Oh, it's gonna be over here. Our website, I'll put in the chat. Let me copy it for you and come back to the chat. That is to our main website. And if you DM us legal, we can send you our EIN plus LLC quick start guide. If you DM us that. So now that you are official and you know all the steps, that's a huge deal. You can get all the systems in place, you can price, and now your legal structure. Next week, we'll be talking about your niche. And this is where you really get to make your brand start to shine. So it can be, you really start the fun stuff if you pick a niche down, sort of thing. So that's my little education unit I have today. If anyone has any questions about any of that, feel free. Or if you just have questions, I'm happy to talk about anything. We've got some time. I talked a little fast, so I got done a little earlier than I was supposed to do. But now we can just kind of open it for Q&A, whether it's about the legal stuff here, or anything bookkeeping. Did you touch on tax differences between LLC and S Corp? I only talked the difference between sole prop and LLC, because when you first start, you're not going to go straight into an S Corp. I think it took me at least a couple years before I went S Corp. It kind of, when you first start, just being that LLC makes sense, because once you go to an S Corp, you have to have income coming in so that you know what your reasonable salary should be, because you have to take a salary when you're at S Corp. So I didn't go into that because I was more talking just about when you're first starting up. But knowing when you should change from being an LLC to an S Corp is a great conversation to have with your CPA when you're doing taxes, because they can tell you at what point you'll start saving money doing that. That's when I had the conversation with mine. And like I said, I think it took at least 2 years before I went S Corp. And then my CPA told me like what my reasonable salary for being a bookkeeper and for my area is. Because your reasonable salary is going to be different for the area you're in. I hope that kind of answered that, Debbie. Anybody else have any questions? Oh, wait, here we go. Oh, we got them coming in. Going fast now. What's the average cost of bookkeeping business for software, insurance, etc. per month once you start running? I found it isn't much, so I have quite a bit of income monthly. That is correct. If you are like a virtual bookkeeper, so you don't have like an office space that you have to pay for that sort of stuff, your monthly it doesn't have to be too high. Like I have all my clients on QuickBooks Online. So, and I have the accountant version of QuickBooks Online. So I don't have to pay for my software there at all. We do have to pay for like our portal software. I think that's an annual cost for me. And insurance is going to vary depending on person and state and stuff like that. But I think my overhead cost for any software is because I pay for like extra links for Calendly. I pay for longer Zoom calls. Some things are like optional that I pay for. My insurance, my portal, a lot of things are optional that I have. I think is still under $400 a month. So your overhead being a virtual bookkeeper can be very low. Yep. Chelsea, I have some REI questions. Do you have clients all have separate QBO subscriptions for each of their subsidiary holding entities? How do you handle a client influencing workflows? Okay, so this is real estate. I do work with all real estate. Cameron, I think Megan told me you had a lot of real estate questions. So any different EIN number I have in a separate QuickBooks account, yes. If they have multiple properties under one EIN, I just class track between those in that EIN. But anything that has a separate EIN for any sort of business, QuickBooks rule is it has to be in a separate QBO subscription. Saying that, clients, for everyone, if clients have multiple businesses and need multiple subscriptions, they can have one login, so one email, one password, but multiple subscriptions. They'll go to QuickBooks, they'll put their email and their login, and then a screen will pop up. Do I want to go to ABC business or DEF business? And they'll click which business they want to go in. So they can have one login with multiple subscriptions, and each EIN is supposed to have a different subscription. How do you handle tenant invoicing workflows? I don't actually invoice any of the tenants. My clients do that themselves, or they have what am I calling? They have like House Call Pro or something like that invoices them. But I would definitely try to set something up, some kind of automatic, it sends on the first or whatever day it's due sort of thing, or even like a week before maybe it's due, and have the due date be personally some kind of automatic sort of thing. But yeah, I don't actually have anybody that I have to send out invoicing for their
Thanks.
tenant.
Can I follow up on another question?
Sure.
So the QBO subscriptions, do you generally like set them up like with a ledger account? Because I'm getting like pushback on, it's too expensive, even though, it is a business expense and, it's just part of doing the business, having multiple subscriptions if it's required. But I'm just curious to hear like what would be like your recommendations for what type of service level for these like small holding companies that they just have it only because they have a property.
I haven't had to use anyone with ledgers. All mine have been um pretty straightforward. And been able to either we have plus they're fine with because it's a business expense. I mean, it's a deductible business expense. Um, for being plus, if they have multiple properties, I will allow them if they only have one property in that EIN to have one where I don't have to class track, but I always let them know as soon as you buy a second property, I'm going to have to up you and we're going to have to class track. But if they only have that one property, I'll let them have a lower subscription. Usually I don't like to go under essentials, but yeah, I haven't used ledgers much. Actually, I haven't used ledgers at all. I'm trying to think of what coach has. I know there's some coaches that have used ledgers. I want to say maybe it's Bonnie. But yeah, if they only have like one, if they're doing a different EIN per property,
Hmm.
they can do a lower subscription. They don't have to have like plus because you don't have to class track. It's just that one property.
Hmm.
Um, it's just if they have multiple properties, you got to class track between them. And it's just, they got to pull up their pants and do
Thank you.
it. You're welcome. I had one that fought me. He had to go up from plus to advanced, and he did fight me a little bit there. But I was like, you bought more properties. We have to. So, um, he did fight me on that one a little bit. Okay, Brad, when you were new, how did you best reach out for client attractions? Um, someone commented, I post online. Those posts are typically educational and the clients reach out and hit something pain point. I also will walk in and talk to business owners in my area. The Bookkeeper Blueprint has advisory services to help you going well. It was a great start. Yes, we go over a lot of different methods of like marketing in the blueprint, the blueprint, the bookkeeping blueprint. Sorry, there's too many B's. But me personally, when I started out, I was also babysitting and I had 3 kids of my own at home. So I had like 5 kids at my house during the day. So yeah, I did a lot of Facebook marketing. I would post things, educational, do you need a bookkeeper? Just all kinds of those kind of different things. And I joined local Facebook and networking groups. And it's kind of a hit and miss with that one. You want to find ones that aren't just spammy, just people putting their stuff, because then they're not looking really at everything else. And you don't really know if it's a spammy networking group until you're in it. But I did join networking groups, and even if I couldn't personally post in it, I would friend those business owners, and then I would introduce myself in in direct message to just not really pushing as I'm selling something, but just letting them know that I was a bookkeeper, and I'm here to help if they need it. So I did a lot of that, and I did a lot of it on my phone as kids were playing right in front of me with toys, sort of thing. So I did that a lot when I first started, was just making sure I had posts up both on my business and my personal. I will tell you, you can schedule posts on your business page. I am a big person that I make all my content for a whole month. And I schedule that on my business page. But then because of algorithms and stuff, It's better not to share from your business to your personal. It's better to like copy and then paste it over as a new post in your personal. Something about algorithms. So I just have a reminder on my phone to copy paste it over, sort of thing. But posting and friending new business owners, it's all about, but you also can go, out and talk to people. It's all about the more people you talk to and let them know you have a business, the more people more clients you'll get, sort of thing. Correct. We have a portal, software, insurance, and other small apps for overhead. Yep. I have a closed secure portal. What is a good portal to use? So I know a lot of the coaches like Keeper. I don't personally have Keeper just because when it came around, it wasn't the best option for me. I have Liscio. But both are like closed, secured portals. Keeper, I believe, can like connect to QBO and they can answer questions, and Keeper will adjust that in QuickBooks for you, sort of thing. So a lot of the coaches do have Keeper. It just, when it came about, I already had like 40 clients, and that would have added like a $400 fee for me, and I wasn't about to do that. So I used Liscio for me. You're crazy, too many kids. Now, those 5 kids weren't all my kids. Only 3 were mine. And then there were 2 daycare kids. I have 3 children of my own. And that's all I have. I haven't had any more. I will say I do have 5 kids living in my house now because my sister's family lives with us now. And she's got 2 kids. So we do have 5 kids at my house, but we also have 4 very capable adults to parent them. So Michael says, I also use Liscio, works great. Yep. I like that it's Liscio is a closed, secure network made for bookkeepers and accountants. Same with Keeper. And they can both programs, you can upload documents and it keeps it in their file. Things don't get lost in your email, all that sort of thing. So again, a portal is not something you necessarily have to just start out, but as you get bigger, it is something that is very helpful for organization, and sending tasks and things like that. And it's not a surprise to clients if you have a portal for them to communicate. They have a portal they have to communicate with their tax pro with and upload stuff with their tax pro. So it's not a surprise for them. And if you tell them like it's a closed, secure thing, they're going to feel safer with their financials there too. So again, there might be other ones, but I know a lot of the coaches either use Liscio or Keeper, sort of thing. And then I use Zoom for calls. I use Calendly book calls. I know some people use different things like that. Trying to think of other software, any other things. Let me kind of look. I do have to pay a little bit for my email every month and annually for my website. Insurance, Calendly. Yeah. That's the basics. I pay someone to help me with my social posts at this point, just because I'm almost at 5 years. I was just kind of running out of ideas of what to post. So I do pay someone a little bit to help with that. So yeah, whatever you use, make sure your client isn't sending information in email. They are able to upload to Secure Pro, Liscio or Keeper, both have that. Yes. Keeping it in that secure place, not in email, both is not secure. I mean, people get hacked all the time. And also things get lost so easily in email. Both Listio and Keeper, like it's in their file, you can find it easier, sort of thing. So, anybody else have any questions? About anything, marketing or legal stuff or bookkeeping? I'm happy to answer anything. If you just want to know my story, I can tell you my story. I know y'all haven't seen me on this live before, so I'm happy to.
I would like to hear more of your story. I think we had a call before, and I know you gave me some info, yeah, but I'm happy to hear yours. And um, I'm like in like month 8 of this and still like going through the motions. I finally onboarded some people, but it's been a slow grind, and curious to hear like how long it took you, like in the beginning stages, staying motivated, staying consistent, and just like changing your, I guess, approach process. Because it can all be like really overwhelming in the beginning because like we're bookkeepers and not really marketing salespeople, and like that's a huge adjustment. And in the beginning, it can be like, what the hell is going on? But I'm curious to hear like how you adapted, how long it took you to like really get into a groove of getting a solid like base of people that are coming to you. Because like right now we're facing others, we're just in that mode. So I'm curious to hear like how long it took, how it gradually happens, and just like how did you adapt to like what changes did you make in the beginning to be really successful now?
So I opened my business in September of 2020. Um, was not a planned thing beforehand. I literally was homeschooling when my oldest child, because we didn't want to send her to school because, COVID and all that. She was in kindergarten. Um, I was babysitting. Like I said, I had 5 kids at my house on a given day, always 3, because 3 of them were mine. Oldest being 5. So the oldest was 5, the middle was 3, and the youngest would have been 1 or younger. Well, no, he would have been 1 by September of 2020. And so I did my official opening in September of 2020. I only had 1 client and she was a very small client. But at that point, my overhead was only like $100 a month, and she covered that. So she was covering that. And I didn't get any other clients until January, kind of when tax season started. I started getting more traction. But I was very big on making sure I did my marketing, making sure I reached out to people every day. I had gone through this free marketing. I can't remember who it was at this point, but she had this thing about 20 minutes where you do 20 minutes of marketing, like in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon, 20 minutes in the evening. And that was very much a thing about when I was like reaching out to people in the mornings. Like each of those 3 times, one time I would friend new people from those networking groups I talked about. One of those times I would friend new people. One of those times I'd reach out to people who accepted my friend requests, and I'd just like chit chat, small talk with them. And then one of those times, if I never brought up I was a bookkeeper, I would let them know that, sort of thing. So I had those 3 steps, sort of thing. So not making the reaching out process too complicated and kind of straightforward for me. But then I grew my business, I want to say by the end of 2021. By the end of 2021, my total monthly income was just shy of 7K. And then by the end of 2022, my monthly income was 13K. And I hired on help by the end of that year. A couple people, looks like. Which my hired help is my sister and brother-in-law. So my family works for me. So it's all that numbers game. Not everyone you reach out is going to reach out back to you. Not everyone you talk to is going to need a bookkeeper, but some of them are going to. Some of them are going to know someone who needs a bookkeeper. Some of them later on is going to hear someone who needs a bookkeeper. So it's all about getting your name out there. If you don't get your name out there, they're not going to come. You're not going to get anyone because they're not going to know about you, sort of thing. So I did a lot of my business, like networking and marketing and all that at the beginning, just through Facebook. I did a little bit of reach out on LinkedIn too. I don't think I ever had anything come of that, but I have a presence there. Same with, I have a business Instagram and I post on it, but nothing, like my clients aren't necessarily on Instagram. So nothing has came from that. So that's kind of the start of that. And everyone always wants to know how many clients I currently have. Let me do the math real fast. I currently have somewhere between 35 and 40 clients. I've lost a few I take the little guy, and not all firms will take like the little bitty guy. And because of, economy, I've lost a few clients recently. So would love to hear your story and how you manage kids and starting your business in the beginning. I'm balancing a full-time job as a controller and a 20-month-old. At the beginning, I also did a lot of things during nap time. That's when I would take calls. I did a lot of I would get on calls no matter what it was. If it was a coffee chat call or a discovery call, I did a lot of those during nap time. So I would just pretty much would talk to anyone who would talk to me that I didn't actually have to leave my house for because I had all the kids. How long does it take you to build out your website? That's one of the things that I'm struggling with. Just so you know, you do not have to have a website. If that is holding you back, come to it later. Yes, a website helps you look professional. It helps you look legit. But you also could just make a Facebook business page and that works. There's businesses like that. I did a lot. My husband did a lot on my website, but I think we used a lot of just like the templates that were there, but put the colors I wanted in and the words I wanted in, sort of thing. But don't let your website be the thing that's holding you back, because you definitely don't have to have it. I've got one. I pay for it. Have I ever got a client through it? No. Every time I get a message from it, it's a spam message. So, websites are great to have to make you look legit and everything, but you definitely don't have to have it to get started. I'm curious where you got your first client. So my first client I found in one of those networking groups I joined. She was a new business. She does waxing, like waxes the body sort of thing. And she's just one of those very nervous about financial kind of stuff. Doesn't want to be the one handling that. And I always use the line that, like, I can't do what you do, so why should you be able to do what I do, sort of thing. Like, I can't go build a fence. You can't do the financial stuff. That's why I'm here, sort of thing. So yeah, she is a body waxer person, and I still have her. She does disappear on me for like 8 months at a time, and then I hear her whole life story when she comes back. So that is where I found my first client. and she signed on with me like September 1st, 2020. Do you prepare taxes? If not, do you recommend a tax preparer? I do not prepare taxes. My husband has asked me before if I want to learn to do that, and I have told him no. I do not want to be that person who does the taxes. But I always tell clients and potential people that I am the person who preps you for your tax person. I get all your financials in order so that you have your numbers to give to your tax person. I have a few CPAs that I recommend to people. We do have Meryl in the group if you just need someone you don't know, like a local CPA. I have a few local CPAs that I know that I refer to. I'm in, if you've ever heard of BNI, I'm currently in a BNI group and we have a CPA in there, so I refer to her a lot. And I am also not shy at telling a client or potential if they ask me something and it's not in the realm of what I do or that I know, I will tell them to go talk to their CPA, their tax preparer. Or if it's something that can be very specific to their business, I'll tell them to talk to their tax preparer, sort of thing. So no, I do not prepare taxes, but I always have that person I can refer to, because you will get that sometimes when people reach out, they're like, I need an accountant. And then my follow-up question to that is always, do you need a tax accountant or do you need a bookkeeper? Because people will use that word accountant as just an overall sort of thing. It's like, do you need someone who can prepare your taxes for you, or do you need a bookkeeper who can help you with your day-to-day tracking of things? Sometimes they only need a tax person, and sometimes they actually need both. So, and a lot of tax preparers, you will find 3 or 4 different kinds of tax preparers. You'll find those ones that don't do bookkeeping. You better come to me with your numbers, and that's what I'm using, sort of thing. Go find your own bookkeeper. You will have those ones that have an in-house bookkeeper. So they have someone in-house that does bookkeeping. You will find someone who white gloves it to someone like a virtual bookkeeper or something like us. But it's through their company. And then you will find some that will do bookkeeping themselves, but not a lot like to do it. They usually either have someone in-house or they white glove it to someone, sort of thing. So connecting with CPAs and connecting with tax preparers is actually a great referral source both ways, because then you have someone for your clients and potentials to send them to. But then they also have someone to send, like, hey, these people need their books done. Here you go, sort of thing. So it's one of the strongest referrals sources you can find is someone who does taxes. And like I said, I have a couple that I send people to. And we always, if you don't have someone currently, we have Meryl. What is Meryl's last name? I can't think what Meryl's last name is right now. Meryl Taylor. Oh, I should have known that. That can always get his information for you. He is based in, where is he based? Utah. Yeah, he lives in Utah, but he can help pretty much anywhere. He does my taxes. Do you offer 3-tier packages or just basic bookkeeping only that scales with the number of accounts, transaction classes, etc.? So I don't have packages. I tell all my people that I do monthly costs. So I don't do, track my hours or whatever, but I want to figure out how many hours I'm going to spend. And I have a minimum, of course, but I tell everyone my cost is unique to the business and their needs, because every business is different and their needs are all different too. I do ask the number of bank accounts, the number of saving accounts, and the number of credit card accounts. Like I find all that out. So I know how much I'm reconciling every month, because that's part of the work. I get the kind of average number of transactions I'm going to be coding a month, because that helps me kind of figure out how much I'm going to charge, if it's a normal amount, if it's excessive sort of thing. And then, yeah, if they're need extra things like class tracking or things like that. Pretty much if it's a brand new business, I'll start them off at my minimum, as long as they have a normal amount of accounts, and then we'll reevaluate as I get bigger. And then normal amount of accounts for me is 4 or 5 or less. Normal amount of transactions is 75. Anything over 100, I count as excessive. And I'll just up the price from there, from what the price I think I need to go from there, sort of thing. So yeah, those are basic questions I ask to get going. And then classes, like, if I start charging more at like 4 or 5 classes. Like there's already an extra charge just to have to do class tracking for like properties or stuff like that. But then I'll start adding more once they hit like 4 or 5 sort of thing.
Do you give them the quote the same day as the call after they give
I
you what?
usually quote them on the call. I have, so minimums are going to be different for different areas and stuff. I'm Missouri, so that we're a pretty cheap state. So my minimums are 200 and 250, depending if they need classes. But if they're more at like 100 transactions, they're going to be probably up to 300. If they have 10 classes, 100 transactions, they might be 350, 400. So I want to kind of take how many hours am I going to be putting into them. And my goal is always to be making like $100 an hour. Because I have to pay myself, I have to pay my employees, all that sort of thing. Pay for, overhead. And so, but a lot of people's minimums are like 300, which is fine. It's just, I found my area that's good. I don't need one. I do taxes as well as bookkeeping. Some bookkeepers do. Some bookkeepers are bookkeeping and taxes, and that's perfectly fine if you are. I know of someone who was bookkeeper and a tax preparer. I don't know if she has a CPA too, and she got a client that she had to go back 17 years, 13 years, and she was doing it year by year. But the ending like cost for her to do the bookkeeping and the taxes was going to be like $75K. So that was like the biggest like any of us had heard of. The IRS literally came and knocked on his door. Very useful discussion. First time to join you live from Bangladesh. Oh, hi. I'm not the one who usually hosts the live, but hi. You are people who usually host. We're busy today or driving and we're maybe lose signal. So my name's Chelsea and I'm hosting today. Usually it's either Sherry or Megan. I like this pricing approach as well. Everyone's business is different. Yes, everyone's business is different. What they need is different. Some people just need basic bookkeeping. Some people need help with invoicing or paying bills or payroll, or like every person is a little bit different. So I always, I never like to quote, like when I'm talking to people like in Messenger, I don't want to quote there. I want to get you on a call, and I'll quote on a call, but I want to get on a call and get to know your business, get to know you, and that sort of thing.
Hi, Chelsea.
Hi.
Question. You say you quote on the call, but the reason is because you already have so many clients that as soon as they tell you, you already know what.
Yeah, I've always kind of been confident in my pricing. So I've always kind of been like that. But if you don't quote on the call, I would tell them like a deadline for when you're going to give them a quote, sort of thing. Like, oh, I'll send you the proposal and the quote by end of day tomorrow or something like that. I give them a timeline at least.
Okay, but sorry, I have a follow-up question. You quote on the call just the monthly. If you need to do cleanup and that sorts of thing, you don't quote that on the call, correct?
It depends. If I have to do, so yes, I'll quote them the monthly price. If I have to do like a full cleanup, like I know I'm starting from scratch, I can give them that price. Because the way I figure out that cleanup is I take their monthly price by however many months I have to go back. But if it's like they have some stuff in QuickBooks and it's going to be kind of a more unique, like I'm checking this, seeing if it's reconciled, checking everything, that I won't. I'll ask for access and I'll do like a notes and see what all I think needs to be done. And then give them a quote on that later. So it kind of depends which way they fall. Am I doing everything start to finish? Or is it kind of fixing things and seeing what needs fixed and that sort of thing? So,
all right. And what happened if, for instance, if the client say, oh, I have 5 bank accounts and I have about 70 transactions per month, but then when you add the actual documents, the information, access, they have about 100 and something transactions and 7 or 8 bank accounts.
well, at least the bank accounts part, I would very much put it in your contract somewhere that it says how many bank accounts they said it was, because then you can go back and be like, hey, this is not what you said it was. We need to rethink this. The bookkeeper blueprint has a pricing sheet. Yes.
Yes, I got that, but this is quoting on the call. This is not using the bookkeeping.
Yeah. Yeah. So very much put it in the contract, especially the accounts thing. The transactions, I haven't really put number. I mean, you could put like a cap of how many transactions there are. Sometimes I know it's a harder question to ask them. I always start off asking them how many accounts, and then I ask transactions. I would look and see if like some months maybe are lower, and like maybe that was just their busy season, because sometimes that happens and it evens out. But you always can go back to them and be like, hey, always take notes of what they said, sort of thing. Put as much as what you can into the contract and be like, hey, this is more than what you actually said. There's more work here.
And then the
sort of thing.
engagement letter will, sorry, will have that if you, I'm quoting you based on what you told me, that if it's not correct, then we adjust.
Yeah. If you put so much, like all that detail in the engagement letter and they sign it, that's proof like they said this is how much it is, sort of thing.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, we'll just finish up these questions really quick. Do you only provide services on QuickBooks Online, or do you use other softwares? I only have all my clients on QuickBooks Online currently, and that's kind of what I'm sticking to now. I've had some clients with other softwares and I always get mad at them. Or not like at the client, I get mad at the softwares. So it's very good to be like a professional in your software sort of thing. I just completed level 1 QuickBooks Pro Advisor, and level 2 is going on. How can I develop my skills as a bookkeeper and how I practice? I mean, that's Pro Advisor is great. Going through our blueprint is great. Playing around with QuickBooks is a sample company is great. But sometimes doing your own books in your QuickBooks Accountant version can be good. But some things you just won't until you get a client to do that. Okay, we are going to have to finish up here, but I'll take this one last question. I would ask for a client to give access to QuickBooks on my email. If you have QBO accountant version, it will break down the information, how many accounts, credit cards. Yes, if they have a QuickBooks, you can do that for like quoting, cleanups and sort of stuff, but sometimes they don't have QuickBooks to give you that information, or you dig in and you find more accounts and there's more transactions. So that's a good client overview, is a good way to start looking at it if you can. But there's a lot of clients that I have that I'm starting from fresh, new QuickBooks. So, but I always start when I ask and answering questions, asking them questions is how many, the easy question, they usually know how many things they have to be able to pay for things. And then I'm like, okay, what's the around about transactions in there? Sort of thing. So, but anyways, it was great to be on here with everyone. If you have any questions, or want to join us in the blueprint, just DM us, and Megan or Sherry will definitely help you with that. They know a lot more of that back admin-y stuff than I do. So, have a great day. Thanks. Bye.